technological advances and the economy. First, I'll start with the U.S. government. We will see an increase in control over the citizens, and that has to do with spying and just taking away the rights. All this is already happening for the Patriot Act after 9/11 was issued to protect its citizens, but mostly it's just spying on personal cell phones and emails and cameras, which I'm sure you guys all heard of. We just predict that. We predict that all that will increase down to GPS tracking system in cars, and personal surveillance cameras around the house will be all monitored. The NSA has bugged over 3/4 of smartphones already that we know of, and we just predict it will only get worse as China starts to pressure the U.S. government. And the importance to this is that the citizens will accept these loss of rights, and this will happen because the ugly truth is that less of us have been educated each year about our constitutional rights, and it'll only increase by the year 2050. So many people will be uneducated of them that they'll be less likely to fight for them. And in addition, we know that the government is very good at twisting their motives to make them sound selfless, and if they can convince the citizens that by taking away these rights and these privacies that will be protected from these foreign, threats, we'll accept the fate and we'll, lose those rights. And then lastly, both these things will lead to Mahbubani's scenario of retreat into fortressness, and this will be that the U.S. will start to isolate ourselves from the international world as we lose power, and this will be the downfall of the United States. But by the year 2045, 2050, we will have fallen far enough that we'll realize that we need to change. So the government will start to revisit and create new international relationships around the world, and kind of follow China's path now by opening free trade and diplomatic relations around the world. Not what we're doing now, but by the year 2050, we will get to that point.
China's government, they already kind of had control over their citizens, and now they're kind of heading towards how the U.S. was, and they're booming, building big skyscrapers. The economy is going to be booming, and their government's going to more turn into the citizens. With the economy rising, are going to want more power, and they're going to continue to want more power, and their citizens will eventually try and get a leader out and get someone into power for a democracy, and they'll eventually get into a democracy and kind of head towards how the United States was with the how we were before, and they're going to be pretty much taking over the world, and their government will eventually turn into democracy and head to take kind of like how the U.S. was before we kind of turned into a downfall in 2050.
All right. So technology is pretty much growing every day, and pretty much by the year 2050, America is going to be extremely dependent on technology, and we're going to just need it constantly. And just to kind of show, in 2012, there's a study. And out of the top 10 websites visited, of the 3, it was Google, Yahoo, and Bing, and those are search engines. And so people are searching for things they need to find information and all of that stuff. And I have a list of some technology that are coming out in the future that shows that we're going to be extremely dependent. For example, the Amazon just released today, or this year, that delivery drones are going to be delivering to houses just by drones. People aren't even going to need to go in the trucks and deliver them anymore. Then there's a Google Glass, which it has glasses where you use it for navigating phone calls, texting, video chats. Then there's this virtual gaming system called Oculus Rift that's coming out, and it's going to be makes you feel like you're mentally there in the gaming world, physically and mentally. So, I mean, by the year 2050, people aren't even going to need to go outside. They're just going to be able to put on their game and feel like they're wherever they want to be. And then there's iTribe, which you can control your tablet flight simulators with just your eyes. So you won't even need to talk, move your hands, just you look at it and you control it. And then there's the Google's driverless car, which is powered by artificial intelligence and has driven 1,609 kilometers without any human control, any human commands. Which, I mean, by the year 2050, we're not even going to need to leave the house. We'll have some robot get groceries, pick somebody up, just by having some robot do it. All right, for China. I mean, China technology, I mean, kids are smarter than us. I mean, there's studies shown. So, I mean, it just shows that China could possibly, by the year 2050, be even more advanced with the kids becoming the future of China, and with their economy, with how we're predicting the economy is going to be growing, technology is going to grow, and China could very well be more advanced than us in 2050.
All right, so now we're going to talk about the economy of both China and the United States. And to start with, I wanted to show you some radical information, such as China's economy is estimated to be valued at around $123 trillion in the year 2050, and their per capita income is $85,000. Now, keep in mind, the United States income will increase as well, but not as drastically as China's. If you look, the changes are significant not in the year 2050, but the year 2030. That's when you see China surpassing the United States and making significant rises above of the United States as well. Keep in mind as well that India is only about 4,000 off, 3,000 off from China on this graph right here. So I see that it's foreshadowing that India will also surpass the United States in the near future after the year 2050. If you also look at this graph I have shown, the amount of per capita and capital stock in the United States compared to China will be drastically lower. So this shows that China will be the leading force in jobs and manufacturing. Okay, so the United States standpoint on this obviously will be very unhappy. They're used to being in power. They're used to having all of the control of the whole world. So this change will obviously not come easy to them. They're still expected to be well off. Don't get me wrong. Their income will increase for everyone. There will be significant strides, but it will be far less than China, let me remind you. They'll be resentful of their recent loss of power, like I stated, and their jobs will shift from more corporation-based to internet-based jobs. So like he said with technology, there will be a shift from actual person-to-person contact and moving to internet jobs as well. And finally, China demands more, and this will have a double-sided sword, if you will. China raises prices of its products in order to increase wages. Now, countries have two choices. They can either open their own manufacturing for a lower price to compete with them, or they can give in to China since they've already outsourced most of their things to China and continue to consume. Keep in mind, China is also very big in its population, so China will have become a large consumer of their own produce as well. So they will still be a large consumer. So I don't foresee that going out anywhere soon. They also will have a large amount of college jobs. They'll have a high income to support their lower income jobs in factories. So when this time comes, some will outsource. For example, I was on eBay the other day looking for a new jacket. Now, the new sizing that is popular is actually Korean or Chinese sizing, which is 2 sizes different than the United States. And that shows the shift from the United States to Korea for clothing, if you want cheaper clothing as well. Now, the United States, I foresee their debt to China will most likely grow. It's not going to change anytime soon. So I feel when they're indebted, evidence shows that they will have to give in to China, and they will have to stay on top of it and keep on giving in to their larger consumption needs. So they will still pay into China. So to summarize all of this, we covered the government, the technological advances, and the economy of China and the United States. And I hope that you can see that there will be a standoff between the two, which is shown through their differences and their similarities, that they're consumer-based and they're going to be producing in their own